All right, quilters, I'm here today in Paducah with Rose Hughes, and Rose is going to tell us her story. She is a fiber artist here in Paducah, and she has an amazing story. So tell us a little bit about yourself and like how you came to Paducah and what you've done since you've been here.
Oh, okay. So I actually became a fiber artist many years ago, back in the 90s really, and when I lived in California. And at that point I basically needed to find a way in order to create a quilt that gave me curves of California. And that was that was my start to my adventure. I'm not an applique person.
Right.
And so I needed to find a way to get curves into my quilts and make it easy and fun, which got me to the part which is the fiber artist in me, which is embellishments.
Right.
And just having a good time. So that started back in the 90s, and it progressed into creating 4 books for Martingale, and it was just a load of fun, and traveled and taught, and carried bags all over the place. And I moved here in 2012.
Okay.
And the reason probably for moving here, number 1 was kind of the quilts, but number 2 really was that my husband grew up not very far from here.
Okay.
It's like kind of 65 miles away, which is like the perfect, so his family is here. It's kind of like the perfect distance. And they're over, so it's fun to be closer to them.
Right.
And be here in Paducah, which is really kind of a fun art community. And that's kind of where I've been since then, though when I turned 60, I decided I was going to retire.
Okay.
And I really became involved here with mixed media.
Okay.
And we have wonderful places here in Paducah for fabric people.
Right.
And then we have we have an incredible place for mixed media people.
Okay.
And it's called Ephemera, and it's over in Lowertown.
Okay.
And she opened the same year that I moved here. And so Kristen Williams is the owner there. And so have a blast, because she brings in incredible teachers, national teachers.
Wow.
I know, and it's 5 minutes away.
I love it.
And I love it too, because it's 5 minutes away, and I can go take classes, year round. And just she's a wonderful workshop hostess, and she puts up on things for Quilt Week too, and it's just a fun place to be. So I ended up here for lots of reasons, but I'm glad I'm here.
Glad you're here, because it's a beautiful place.
It is a beautiful place. And we do watch out for quilters, though, on Quilt Week.
Yes, I'm sure you do. So here in your studio, okay, so much I just really love about the studio. I love the feel of it and the energy of it, but mostly I'm super impressed it is tidy. Now, on a regular day when I am not coming, is it still pretty tidy?
Okay, so I am a tidy person.
Okay.
But I'm going to be totally honest with you, because I have people staying here for Quilt Week that came from California to visit too, so I had multiple reasons to tidy it up.
Yes.
But that table that's there,
yes,
the work table, had 3 workshops worth of materials on it last week.
Okay.
Okay, and it was just about time to get down to the nitty-gritty, because I don't like to work. I always like to start a project with a clean space, and then I let it get as crazy and as crazy as possible. Because having a good time, but then I do like to clean it up.
Right.
I mean, but if you look in the bins and stuff, there's the reason for the bins is because I can just throw it in a bin.
Right.
And I don't have to. It's not folded. It's not neat. There was a time when I did a TV show that it actually,
was folded and neat.
It was folded and neat.
Excellent.
But I haven't done it since.
Okay, well, let's talk about your stash, because quilters talk about their stash, and we love our stash and we honor our stash. But your stash is way different than my stash. So I'm just going to turn around here. So the bins are, they have labels that say cottons and white cottons, but like here's velveteens and silks, and you have lots of different kinds of textures. And then I assume these are what you use for your embellishments. Beads, right? Beads. And you have threads and beautiful things there. So my stash looks completely different, because my stash has 100% cotton.
Okay.
Because I am just a quilter.
No, not just a quilter.
Okay.
not just. There's no such thing as just a quilter.
Right.
You're a more traditional quilter.
I am a more traditional quilter, and I like the fact that when I work with cotton, you know, I know how it feels, I know where it's going to stretch and those kind of things. So tell me the challenges of working with some of these other kinds of fabrics.
Well, I've always been a problem solver.
Okay.
And so, and you're right, the correct word is the challenge word.
Right.
And they can be a challenge. And the silks, you know, a long time ago, when I was, you know, just in my quilting world, just quilting world, as you said.
Yes, my quilting world.
My quilting world.
Yes.
I was a president of a guild, and a famous quilter came to visit. It was Paula Nadelstern. She was having her first big piece in a big show in San Diego, and I got to spend the day with her.
How fun.
It was really fun, and she's wonderful, but I mean, I got to spend the day with her, and well, actually multiple days. And I took her into LA, and we went to some of the great fabric stores that are in LA, and she went right to the silks, because she was working in silks as well for her big pieces, and she gave me like a 30-second lesson on how to do silk. And so she opened my door just that fast to using silk. And it's all about, you know, solving the challenge that silk unravels.
Right.
Silk, you know, if you do a 1/4-inch seam, it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard to stay together unless you do this magic thing, which was just interfacing.
Right.
It is a special interfacing, and she wouldn't tell me exactly the brand. But I have my exact brand that I like to use to get it just right. But you know, it's things like that. So you take classes, you learn things, you meet people,
Right.
You solve the challenges of using different things, just like the velveteens behind you.
Right.
I love velveteen, but if you try to use a mixed velveteen,
Okay.
you're not going to be happy. So it's 100% cotton velveteen, and unlike velvet, which if you sew it, leaves a trail.
Right, it leaves a mark.
Velveteen doesn't.
Ah.
So it gives you that wonderful texture without the marks.
Oh, see the things we get to learn.
Exactly.
So what is your favorite medium to work with? Do you have a favorite?
No.
Okay. Top 5.
You know, well, fabric is going to be number one.
Right.
And it seems like whenever I take a mixed media class, I probably drive my friends here crazy, because I'm always trying to figure out the way I can use it with fabric. So I guess fabric is number one.
Sure.
And so so number one is going to be fabric. Number 2, you know, they just kind of go crazy from there. Whatever you want to happen, because it could be the embellishments, it could be the painting, it could be the paper.
Right.
You know, there's just too much out there to play with, and now that I'm retired, I get to play.
You got to do what you want.
I get to do what I want.
So what is your inspiration for creating art?
You know something, you can tell I'm a collector. There's collections here.
Okay, we have to talk about this cool raven that's up here.
Oh, okay.
He's very sweet. Does this raven have a name?
No. Actually, no.
It's wearing pantaloons and has a medallion. I just think it's so cool. So you collect ravens and other things that you create.
Well, I do.
That you collect, and then do you use those like as your inspiration for pieces, or?
The ravens have been an inspiration for a long time, and it started back in the 90s when I realized my mother gave me a middle name that's actually Celtic for raven. So then I'm a researcher by nature, and so I started researching, and the more I realized, you know, that ravens are tricksters and troublemakers. They like to collect. They like to collect things.
Yes.
You know, they're scavengers, and they like to collect things, but they're always the ones that are pushing the bounds. And I'm the youngest of 4, so I think my mom just kind of gave me this name intuitively.
Right.
You know, because she always said she just needed a B name, and she gave me the name of Brenna as my middle name.
Okay.
And it's Celtic for Raven Maiden.
Oh,
and so that's kind of it. So you took that raven approach, you know, including the shiny things, and and it kind of lifted that barrier for me of traditional that I go, you know, something, if I'm going to make quilts with ravens, then I'm already over the bounds.
Right.
So
I'm already going to use different kinds of medium
Yes.
to create them.
Right.
Absolutely.
So have fun.
I love how you hang your scissors, because scissors are one of those things.
Yes.
What do I do with them? So I love the fact that they're on hooks there. So tell us, how many scissors do you have?
You know, it's kind of funny, but I actually know because,
This
you
is
know,
a-
we had the
this
Facebook
is
contest.
great.
So, yeah, so I have 136 scissors in the house.
So fabulous.
You know, and some there are metal scissors,
Right.
and, you know, and I did not count the saw as one of my scissors.
I love that there's a saw. Every
Yes.
quilter should have a saw
They
in their
should.
sewing space.
You know, I think they need to.
No, I think I'm going to go buy one. I'm going to go find an antique saw maybe here in Paducah and
Oh,
take
that
it
would be
home with.
fun.
Wouldn't that be fun?
Yes,
as
that
my
would be fun.
memento of Paducah is
But if
to-
you can't find an antique one, you know, Lowe's.
Yeah, Lowe's has them. They have them.
Will do the trick.
Okay, so on your table here, I'm going to grab this because
Okay.
I have been waiting to open this.
Okay. Well,
So
let's-
talk about this book.
Okay, so I've had years and years of making quilts and art quilts and hanging them on the walls, and I don't really have a need, though my kids would say I'm lying, because that's a stack of fabric that's waiting to be made into a quilt for my son, and then there's another one up there waiting to be for my daughter-in-law.
Yes.
So I mean, they would lie if I say I don't
Right.
don't make quilts anymore, but I do.
Yes.
But what I like to do now is I like to take what I'm learning in the mixed media and kind of put it all together. This is what I am calling fun now, and
Okay, I
having a
don't
good
even
time.
know what's inside here, but I'm totally
No.
making one of these because I am so intrigued already.
Okay, and it's kind of funny because this one, so I've been making these books, and they kind of, first off, the cover is made from the remnants, the pieced remnants from one of the quilts in my very first book. Actually, the cover quilt on my first book.
Okay.
And so, so you know, that's what's in this bin here are
Right.
things, scraps and remnants of pieces that are
So
quilted.
you totally come full circle.
I have. And so, but this one happens to be about purple and about ravens. And so so there's the purple,
Okay.
and you can
gonna
open
it
up.
up.
And so you can kind of see.
Oh.
So these are some of the things that have been, so this was done with crayons and paint, which I've written articles for.
Great.
And so there's different things. And then there's things in here that I've been learning about the mixed medias.
Okay.
And so creating these things,
This one says "Be a Raven."
be a raven. And so
I think
yes.
it's stunning. And then this sweet page is painted
And it's paper.
and it's paper.
And so it's really kind of mixed media with stencils but you know, but fabric's in there too. So there's a
Right.
piece of silk behind the bird, and
And these beautiful little feathers, as it were.
so and some of the pages are not totally filled because it's, you know, just kind of art journaling.
Right.
And then I've really been into these things.
These
'Cause I mean-
feathers are just
But you know, but
stunning.
they're just there's a woman artist who I'd taken her bookmaking class last year, and she just makes these things. She doesn't have a name for them. I'm just calling them fluffs. For this one, in this book, they kind of took on a feathery shape.
Right.
But you can see this is fabric
Right.
that's been altered with, you know,
Right.
dyes and stuff. And then I wrote on here kind of mixed media style, and there's poems in here
Right.
about the birds and that kind of thing. And so it's really a mixture of fabric and paper and paints and
What a beautiful
Stitching.
sentiment. And it starts out, when a feather falls at your feet, it means you are going to travel on the wings of
I'm going to let you try and read it because I don't remember it by heart anymore.
curiosity.
Yes.
And then it goes on to talk about language. See, I think this would be a beautiful project to make over a period of time with a child or a grandchild.
It is.
And say, okay, like, so Oakley, my granddaughter, is 8, and she would totally be down
Right.
for this, right?
Yes.
I mean, just making this. And so, again, some mixed media.
So in this, with your granddaughter, this would be
Yes.
really fun because this again is crayon
Okay.
on fabric.
Okay.
And then it's just painted over. So I actually used, I carved the raven
like
stamps.
a template. Oh, okay. Stamps.
But a template would work
Right.
too. And then you just do crayon rubbings. And then
Oh,
and then
sure.
on white muslin, and then you just paint over it. And the crayon, it's not even so batik. You know, you have a lot of wax, you got to take it out, but the crayons don't leave a big lot of wax in there, so you don't really have that problem. And it comes out really fun. And so
oh my gosh,
so yeah, these are just fun,
just beautiful. And did you hand dye this, or was this fabric you just purchased?
No, this is actually discharged fabric. So it started life as a piece of purple fabric, and then discharged it with bleach. And so,
and again, paper with some beautiful medallions. And stamps and such cool things here.
So, and some of these things are very personal. So, so my sister lived in Israel when she was in college, and because this book was about birds and nests and ravens and that type of thing, so I looked through all of this. She sent me a thing of stamps. And you're talking about in the 60s. You know, we were still using stamps and sending letters and stuff. And so these are all from her letters. So it's all, these are all little bird stamps. And I chose the word become because that was what she was doing, is when she was there, she was becoming. So anyways.
And this looks like pens and inks. And again, beautiful feathers. Those flufflings.
Those fluffs.
I'm loving it. And the buttons. Okay, I love everything about this book. I just think it's beautiful, and it can be personal. And again, look at this beautiful paper that you've torn up, and painted. And
scraps from all these fun projects that we did. Even your Just Quilts.
Even my Just Quilts. I could throw a little cotton in there. It'd be great.
Yes, and then you have pages like this, which are, you know, when you go to the thrift store. And you get those things and you go, what am I going to do with them? Well, I threw them in. This is just done with Rit dye. It's not like really hard. And so I wanted it to be purple. It became purple.
It became purple.
And then the cantha cloths. So these are cantha cloths that are cut up and put in here.
And again, paper. I am just intrigued by the texture. I wish you were all here so you could touch it and feel it and
it's the best.
See. It's the beautifulness.
It's the part. It's the fun part.
Oh, look. And okay, I just think this is so beautiful to have the different layers of the paper, and sometimes there are little hidden pockets, and oh, I love things with words. Oh, look at that.
So, and so these are just
how purple that is.
I know, isn't that a wonderful purple? So the whole process for me is just having fun. And so I started, so this is purple and birds. Right now I'm working on a red book, which is houses and hearts and houses. And so it's just like, it's kind of a theme to kind of, you know, run through the book. And I'm having a blast. Okay,
so one of the things that I find fascinating about this is that we don't care that the pages aren't square. We don't care the textures. We embellish and we embrace all of that. And look at these beautiful nests with the string and then these beautiful beads. Oh my gosh.
So.
Oh, thank you so much for sharing this book. Oh, look at the very end. Look at that. And the beautiful little raven there.
Again, this is the crayons and the...
I'm totally going to learn how to do that. Oakley and I are totally making these because I just think that's so fun.
Well, and you know, the whole thing too is to not rush the process. Because
you know, there's something to be said about that, right? Because I will let you.
You know, it's the kind of thing that has to be built. And so, so as you build it, you know, you let it talk to you. It kind of, you know, just like your quilts talk to you when you're making your quilts. You kind of let the pages talk to you when you're making the pages. And then you get to figure out how to put together. But there are some wonderful teachers out there that are teaching people how to make the books. And that's basically, you know, COVID, I sat here and took classes online and learned, and then I get to, you know, ephemera. She has lots of teachers coming in to teach me more.
Beautiful things.
But anyway, so this is kind of what I'm working on now.
Perfect.
Back up here.
Perfect. So if our viewers wanted to follow you, do you have like a Facebook page or an Instagram page? Or
I have Facebook page out there still. I took my website down. Well, actually.
Well, you retired. You can take that down.
Something like that. Technology took over.
Yes. All right. Now, when we leave here, we're going to see this beautiful quilt that you made about Edgar. So
Yes.
tell us about Edgar, and then we'll show the quilt of Edgar.
Okay, so that was kind of, I wanted to share Edgar because I have made him since I've moved here, and he was a wonderful cat and lived till he was 16 years old, and then he passed away. And so I have what would you call it, memorialized him in this quilt.
Right.
And so in this quilt of Edgar, he's giant because
Yes.
he was a giant among cats, and so he's 5.5 feet tall, and he was a black cat, and he was definitely a troublemaker, but he also has a story, and you'll see in the quilt, and it's put together with the style that I put my quilts together, which is fast piece applique,
Right.
that I had to put together, and what my books are about. And so he's put together with fast piece applique, but the background fabric is a striped fabric, and if you get up close to it, you'll see that it's all handwritten. It's the story of from when he was a kitten to the day he passed away.
Oh my goodness.
So, but you have to go up, but his entire story is behind him, and looks just like a striped wall when you don't know it's there. But his story is there, and he was always my greeter. You did not get into my house without being greeted by Edgar, and so he stays at the front door, and he's still greeting people.
There you go. Well, thank you again for taking time of your busy day here during Quilt Week, and you have company and all to meet with us. It's just been so lovely meeting you and experiencing your great energy here and your creativity. So thank you again for being a part of our show today.
Totally my pleasure, because it is about sharing what we learn along the way.
We were talking about that in the car, actually, about the quilting community, right, and how we share and we learn and we teach. And
that's a very, very true thing. Quilters tend to be very good sharers.
Yep.
So,
well, good. Well, thank you again.